Well, welcome to Christ and Culture. My name is Jeff Short, and today we're going to be talking about the election that's coming up in the United States between President Donald Trump and former Senator Joe Biden. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties of the election itself, but I want to talk about something that popped up recently on the internet, and that is a group called Pro-Life Evangelicals for Biden. That's right. So that raises a whole question. Is it a sin to vote Democratic? Now, if you're a pro-life evangelical, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, you will most definitely say it is sinful to support pro-abortion candidates. It is sinful to support pro-sodomy candidates, pro-LGBTQ candidates, pro-perversion of marriage candidates. In other words, the Democratic Party has committed itself to killing babies, slaughtering babies in the womb through abortion. In fact, not just abortion, but there are Democrats that are actually advocating infanticide, where the doctor is allowed to let the baby die, even if it's been born, if the mother doesn't want the baby. So we're talking about pro-abortion, pro-infanticide Democratic Party. And then also now, a recent, within the last 5 years, a pro-perversion of marriage party, the Democratic Party. They're the ones that pushed for the gay marriage. They're the ones that are pushing for the transgender revolution. They're the ones that are pushing for all of these gender-confusing issues that we see popping up in society. So if you're a Bible-believing evangelical historic Christian, you are automatically going to reject this group, this party, or the candidates that are supporting the Democratic platform. You're going to automatically do that. Well, we see some evangelicals, supposedly evangelicals, who are now saying, no, we're going to actually support that pro-abortion, pro-perversion of marriage party. We're going to support their candidate, Joe Biden. And so they have a website that they have put together that tries to, in some sense, justify what they're doing. And so what we're going to do is look at that website, and we're going to see if they really are accomplishing what they are setting out to do, which is to convince Christians, evangelical, Bible-believing, conservative Christians, to go ahead and vote for Joe Biden because they just hate Donald Trump so much. Now, to be clear, I don't know of very many evangelical Christians who just love Donald Trump in the sense that he represents the ideal and role model for a Christian in this country, or even a decent person in this country. I think overwhelmingly evangelicals voted for Donald Trump in 2016 was because he supported our causes. We want to see a society that doesn't kill its babies in the womb. And we're talking millions of babies being killed in the womb, either through chemical abortion or through surgical abortion. So we are very clear. We want this ended. It's going to bring the wrath of God, destruction on this nation. It has to. It must, because God cannot just allow these gross atrocities continue, and abortion is the grossest of all atrocities. But on top of that, evangelicals voted for Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton, the Democrat, because of her promoting of the LGBTQ cause, the gender confusion, the perversion of marriage with gay marriage, and the whole transgender movement. That's the Democratic Party. Evangelicals thumbs down on all of that in 2016. Now, some so-called evangelical leaders are saying, oh, wait a minute, we want to rethink this. Donald Trump is bad, orange man bad. We have to oppose him. And so they're trying to convince evangelicals to vote for the pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage Joe Biden. And let us remind ourselves, Joe Biden was way out ahead of even a radical liberal Obama in the time they were both in the White House. at least Obama was in the White House and Joe Biden was his vice president, Joe Biden was way ahead of the gay marriage push. And so he actually pulled Obama into that, and we know what happened after that. We see the perversion of marriage from the Supreme Court and so on. So let's look at this pro-life evangelicals for Biden. Let me put it up on the screen. Here we go. And I'm just going to go through here and comment because I think it's really important to go ahead and comment on this because it's such nonsense. So let's look down here. It says pro-life evangelicals for Biden. So in other words, pro-life evangelicals for pro-abortion Biden. So those who claim that they want to preserve human life are for Biden, who will take human life in the unborn babies. Pro-life evangelicals for Biden. So they've made a website even. And as an anecdotal story, I was traveling across a couple states, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and New York State. I happened to look up and I saw a ad, and it said, "I'm pro-life and I'm voting for Joe Biden." And I have never seen anything like that before. And I thought, wait a minute, how can you do that? Well, today we're going to talk about it. It says, join the movement. Richard Mao, president of Fuller Seminary. John Huffman, former chair of the board of Christianity Today. And so on. Ron Sider, Jerusha Duford, Brenda McNeil, and Richard Foster, author, and some of these people who are doing this. Now, I don't have a knowledge of why they're doing this, but maybe this article will explain. As pro-life evangelicals, we disagree with Vice President Biden and the Democrat platform on the issue of abortion. Okay, good. So they are in the mainstream evangelical belief and convictions. We disagree with the Democrats on abortion. And Joe Biden, too, we disagree with him. So we're opposed to him. We're opposed to the Democratic platform. Okay, here's the key part. But we believe a biblically shaped commitment to the sanctity of human life compels us to a consistent ethic of life that affirms the sanctity of human life from beginning to end. Okay, great. We can all affirm that. People deserve to be respected and their life respected, the right to life from conception all the way till natural death. So far, so good. Now we go on. Many things that good political decisions could change, destroy persons created in the many things that good political decisions could change, destroy persons created in the image of God and violate the sanctity of human life. Poverty kills millions every year. Okay, we all agree that poverty is bad. So does lack of health care and smoking. Yes, okay. Racism kills. Yes, I guess if there are white supremacists killing black people, that is bad. Yes, we agree. Unless we quickly make changes, devastating climate change will kill tens of millions. That is questionable. Again, they're wading into some areas that simple two-word statements are not enough. You have to talk about the details. Poverty, lack of accessible health care, smoking, again, smoking. It seems like on this panel, someone's trying to quit smoking. I don't know what this is up. Racism and climate change are all pro-life issues. Now, that's a problem. No, they aren't. Pro-life in our country, in our context, at this moment, means a very specific thing. Not watered down, not diluted. It means a very special thing. And that is babies in the womb should be protected. That's what pro-life means. If you start bringing in all kinds of issues, there's an endless array of things that threaten human life on the planet Earth. If you bring all of these in and call them all part of the pro-life cause, then you have diluted the problem that we are specifically addressing by saying pro-life, and that is babies being killed in the womb, unborn babies slaughtered by the millions in the womb. That's the pro-life issue that we're talking about. And if you bring in all these external issues like smoking and equate that with babies being killed in the womb and saying it's all a pro-life issue, then you are diluting, you are weakening, you are destroying what we are talking about and what the pro-life movement has been talking about for nearly 50 years. And we cannot do that. We cannot do that. But these people are trying to do that. As the National Association of Evangelicals official public policy document for the health of the nation insists, faithful evangelical civic engagement and witness must champion a biblically balanced agenda. Yes, biblically balanced agenda. Fine. That's as fine as far as it goes. That statement I can affirm. Therefore, we oppose one-issue political thinking because it lacks biblical balance. No, not necessarily. Because if you're, for example, back in the 1800s, if you are opposing slavery, you could say, well, let's not get all wrapped up in this one issue. Well, yeah, let's get wrapped up in that one issue. If it's talking about, for example, if the pro-life issue is babies are killed in the womb in this country every day, thousands and thousands every day, and you want to stop it, that's being pro-life. So if that's a one-issue thinking, well, so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean you aren't concerned about all these other issues like poverty, racism, and healthcare and all this other stuff. But when you compare that with the slaughter of innocent babies in the womb, that has to take priority. Slaughtering and killing babies in the womb has to stop. And then we go on from there. Knowing that the most common reason women give for abortion is the financial difficulty of another child. That's what they are rationalizing. That's what women say. That's what they give as a rationale for their abortion. We know that that's not true. We know that the core reason why women have abortion is because simply they don't want that child. They don't want that person. They don't want that baby because it obligates them to take care of it. And they have gotten themselves in a situation where they've had sex outside of marriage, usually fornicating, immoral, breaking God's moral standards, and now they want to get out of this problem they call, quote, problem of a baby, and so they're willing to kill that baby. Well, they say, oh, well, I can't afford it. That's the financial reason they give, but let's get deeper than that. Why would this statement lead with that reason? The most common reason women give for abortion is financial difficulty, when we all know that is not the main reason. The main reason is they simply don't want the baby. So let's get real here, evangelicals for pro-abortion Biden. Let's get real and talk reality instead of talking points. We appreciate a number of Democratic proposals that would significantly alleviate the financial burden, accessible health care for all citizens, affordable child care, and a minimum wage that lifts workers out of poverty. Okay, we can talk about all those issues, and those are legitimate discussion issues, but don't try to say that women are having abortions because they have no other alternative. That is pure poppycock. For these reasons, we believe that on balance, Joe Biden's policies are more consistent with the biblically shaped ethic of life than those of Donald Trump. Therefore, as we continue to urge different policies on abortion, we urge evangelicals to elect Joe Biden as president. This is ridiculous. Here you have supposedly educated and informed evangelicals, and they have just given the worst reason for voting for the slaughter of children in the womb with the Democratic Party. Now, you can say all you want with the Republicans, and we can disagree with the Republicans on a number of issues. But let's not twist and distort and rationalize voting for Joe Biden because, on balance, Joe Biden's policies are more consistent with a biblically shaped ethic of life. Are you kidding me? This is pure ridiculous drivel. Even if you don't like Donald Trump, and there are a lot of people that don't like Donald Trump. I don't know any evangelical Christian that likes everything about Donald Trump or even a lot of what Donald Trump does, his excessive tweeting, his egotistical personality, his, you could say, narcissism, which definitely comes out when he tries to be the center of attention all the time. And we can go on and on and on. His combative style, confrontational choice of words, etc., etc., etc. There are so many reasons why one would not like Donald Trump. But it's not about what you feel, and it's not about what Donald Trump's personality is, and it's not about all of these superficial things. It boils down to this. Donald Trump has been a very solid and reliable pro-life president, whether you like him or not. I was just in Washington, D.C. this past January, actually right before the coronavirus epidemic hit. And around January 27th, I think it was, I was in Washington, D.C. with tens of hundreds of thousands of people at the March for Life that occurs every year in January to protest the Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion, imposed abortions, I should say, on all 50 states. Terrible, awful. Millions and tens of millions of babies have been killed over the last nearly 50 years since that awful decision. And President Donald Trump was the first sitting president to ever come to the March for Life and recognize it and, in a sense, affirm it on a national level. He came this past year, the 2020 pro-life March for Life in Washington, D.C. I had the honor of being there. And President Donald Trump stood before the thousands of pro-lifers and said, I'm committed to your cause. I'm committed to ending the slaughter of the innocent babies in the womb. And I will, and my administration has already taken steps to curtail it by supporting the policy initiatives to try to end abortion, selecting judges who are as good as possible pro-life and who are committed to ending Roe v. Wade as much as possible. Again, we have to remember that someone like a Ronald Reagan, who is considered a very pro-life Republican back in the day, he actually appointed two Supreme Court justices who we all thought were going to be solid on the pro-life cause at the Supreme Court level, and they turned out to be traitors. Traitors to the cause, going against the defenders, their defenders. I remember way back in the day when Ronald Reagan appointed Justice Kennedy, for example, and he appointed Sandra Day O'Connor, and he was assuring people, Reagan, that these are good, solid, pro-life people. You'll be pleased with them. Well, we haven't been pleased with them. Sandra Day O'Connor turned out to be pro-abortion, and we all know about Justice Kennedy. He not only was he pro-abortion, wouldn't touch Roe v. Wade, but he was also the one that signed the abominable Obergefell decision that legalized gay marriage, actually redefined marriage in this country. He wrote the decision. So big disappointment. But Donald Trump has done something that no other president has done as far as trying to end this abomination of abortion. And that is every election, he did it in 2016, he did it now in 2020, he released a list of judges who have been vetted by the Federalist Society. And while this list is still imperfect, because you really don't know what these judges will do on the bench of the Supreme Court until they're actually there. But based on their past record and based on their judicial philosophy, more or less, you can tell whether they would be open to overturning Roe v. Wade or not. And so Donald Trump has released a list of the judges. And as Christians, evangelical, Bible-believing, pro-life Christians, we look at that list and we say, wow, these judges seem to be among the judges, all the judges, they seem to be pretty solid, and they seem to be pretty good choices if you were going to overturn or curtail the awful abortion in this country. And so he has done that now twice, and no other president has ever done that. Like I said, he was the first one this past year to speak at the pro-life March for Life in Washington, D.C. And basically everything he has done together with Mike Pence, his vice president, a solid evangelical Christian, has been to try to roll back the abortion tragedy in our country. Contrary to that, everything Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have done is to promote abortion. Now, Joe Biden's not only for abortion, he's not only for the woman killing her baby at any point in the pregnancy, but he's also wanting Christians and pro-lifers in this country, taxpayers, to pay for women who can't afford to kill their baby and hire an assassin hitman to go into their womb to kill their offspring. He wants you as a pro-life Christian and I as a pro-life Christian, he wants us to pay for these abortions. So adding insult to injury. So this makes no sense to have this group called Evangelicals, pro-life evangelicals for Biden. It is a total inconsistency in their thinking. Now, when you look at some of the names here, Richard Mao, President Emeritus of Fuller Seminary. This is really painful for me to see his name here, because when I went to Fuller Seminary, this is a seminary that I earned a doctorate at a few years back. And when I was there, Richard Mao was the president of Fuller. And so I'm very familiar with Richard Mao. And there's no excuse for someone like Richard Mao. He is educated. He is learned. He knows the information. He knows the Bible. He knows the arguments. And yet he will put his name to this statement urging Christians to vote for pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage Joe Biden and the Democrats. This is intolerable. This should never be stood for. This John Huffman, I'm not familiar with him, but it says that he was the board chair emeritus of Christianity Today. I don't find that at all shocking, because Christianity Today, as a magazine in the evangelical world, is nothing like it used to be. Christianity Today was founded by Billy Graham and Carl Henry and some of the great forefathers of the modern evangelical movement. And when they were running this, it stood for something. Today, it's simply a check the wind and find out what is popular and then go with that magazine. So Christianity Today is a shadow of what it was. It doesn't represent Bible-believing Christians. It doesn't represent the rank and file Christians in the pews in the churches of evangelical churches. It represents some small fraction and this kind of progressive fraction of the church life in this country. It's actually quite liberal now, and you can find perspectives that would be shocking to people like Carl Henry and Billy Graham and some of the other really great evangelicals, Francis Schaeffer, who were important in molding evangelical thought in the 60s and 70s. Now this magazine is basically not worth the paper that it's printed on. Ron Sider always has been somewhat of a progressive liberal thinker, inconsistent, I would add, along with people like Tony Campolo. I don't see his name on here. They probably don't want Tony Campolo's name on here. Why? Because Tony Campolo is now so far left, radicalized, that he argues for gay marriage, and he says it's a good Christian thing for two men or two women to get married, and that Christianity should open the doors and open their hearts to that because that's completely biblical, and on and on. Nonsense. I don't see Tony Campolo's name on here. Why isn't it? I guess they don't want someone that far gone. Richard Foster has written a book here, Celebration of Discipline. I've read the book. I like the book. Many helpful things here. But again, inconsistent in his Christian worldview. And these people should know it. This is inconsistent. It's blatantly inconsistent. They say they disagree with Vice President Biden and the Democrats on the issue of abortion, but they're willing to go along with them and vote for them anyway because they're correct on other issues. Yeah, this is a failure in looking at proportion. This is a failure of Christian worldview, consistent thinking. Yeah, there might be some areas where the Democratic Party and Joe Biden actually are more correct in their understanding of a certain issue than Republicans and Donald Trump. Yeah, I can concede that. There probably are issues that the Democrats get it right, but it's not a matter of looking at little issues like how we have border patrol and whether to build a wall at our border or a fence or whatever. These are issues that can be debated between the sides in the Christian church. There is no biblical right or wrong answer as to how stringent or how loose your border policies are. This is a debatable issue. Abortion and gay marriage are not debatable issues for Christians. And so if you have evangelicals encouraging other Christians to vote for pro-abortion, pro-perversion of marriage, gay marriage, this is really out of line, and this is really shocking to see this occurring. And it's an awful thing to see. Can you vote for Democrat Joe Biden, pro-abortion Joe Biden, pro-gay marriage Joe Biden, pro-LGBTQ, pro-transgender Joe Biden, and be a Christian? Probably yes, but not a consistent thinking Christian, not someone who is in tune with the Bible and in tune with the Holy Spirit. You can do a lot of things that are wrong, and you can sin even as a Christian and still be a Christian, but you need to repent of your sin. And if you are voting for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and you're planning on voting for Joe Biden in 2020, you need to repent of that. That is a sinful, inconsistent, cruel, unloving attitude that you have. Just because you don't like a personality of someone like a Trump, just because there are things that you don't like in the Republican platform or the Republican policy on a certain issue, doesn't mean that you're okay to vote for someone who wants to slaughter babies and promote your taxpayer monies to go for the slaughtering of babies and the perversion of marriage and all the other things we've mentioned. No, that is not enough. You have to start thinking Christianly, biblically, and not fall for this pro-lifer Biden rhetoric. This is really sick, and hopefully this will not actually occur. Well, we'll see you back next week on another edition of Christ and Culture. God bless.